The entire medical team couldn't stop screaming when they realized what this woman gave birth to. Baby stores some of the fat under their skin because their developing bodies and brain need quick hits of energy all the time. Your baby might have had some body rolls or big soft cheeks. Don't worry, this kind of fat is normal and healthy for your baby. Every baby grows at their own rate. A mother of 3 explained that she wouldn't have any more children anytime soon after what she went through during her last delivery. She knew that she had large babies in the past because one child weighed about PS9, while her other weighed close to PS10 at birth. The mother expected that her 3rd child would be on the heavier side as well because of how large she was during her pregnancy, and based on the history of her other babies, when she was told just how much her little girl weighed, she was shocked. It implies you wish to blame the mother for any problem the baby may suffer when it may not be her fault at all. You could just as easily have asked which traits in the baby can be credited to the mother. And she deserves lots of credit because no baby gets born without a lot of selfless giving on the part of its mother. So I'm going to answer your question from the positive perspective of giving credit where it's due rather than placing blame. Science has shown us that the traits that people have are almost always a combination of both genetics and environmental conditions in which living things grow. Genetics means that the contributions from the male and female bioparents have a greater influence than any other people in nearly all cases because they are the only persons who directly contribute DNA to the infant, and if they are also involved in gestating and rearing the child, they'll likely have a bigger influence on how the child turns out than even the child itself. But environment largely shapes what genetic traits get strengthened and which get repressed. Environment and nurturing can even turn on and off the genetic predilection to express certain inherited traits. The way that environmental influences do this is called epigenetics. Typically, the only genetic traits that a mother can't be responsible for giving to her child are those located on the Y chromosome. This is ironic considering that in many traditional cultures, men blamed women for not giving them male hair when there is absolutely nothing she can do about the sex of the baby. That is all down to the father. Childbirth is one of the most amazing human feats possible, but imagine giving birth to the heaviest baby ever or 8 babies at once. Being pregnant can come with a few surprises. A mother in the UK gave birth to an infant weighing PS12, 14 Oz. What's more, the baby is believed to be the 2nd biggest baby ever born in the UK. When the baby's mother, Amber Cumberland, was pregnant, doctors believed she was carrying twins because of how huge her baby bump was. Amber gave birth to her 12-pound baby girl, Amelia, on 16 April. She was the 2nd largest baby born after baby weighing PS14. 4 Oz was born in 2012 in the UK. Amber actually started to believe she was going to give birth to twins because of the number of times the doctor had mentioned it. "We heard it so much we actually started to believe there was another one hiding in there," said the 21-year-old mom. Doctors thought it was twins during pregnancy because she was so big, even though we could only see one of the ultrasounds. Amelia was the size of a 36-week baby. By her 32-week scan, she grew an extra PS8 on by 36 weeks. Amelia was born via a cesarean section after being in labor for 24 hours. She was about 8 centimeters dilated but could not go any further. If she did, she would not have been able to get back up. Moreover, the baby was at risk of getting stuck during the C-section. It took 2 people to lift her out and 1 to hold everything back to get her out. Amelia was so big that even her clothes didn't fit her. The whole outfit we brought didn't fit her. But luckily we had some spare 0 to 3-month clothes packed, and the hospital staff had to hunt down bigger nappies from pediatrics for us, said Amber. The size of the bump also resulted in several stretch marks on her skin. Amber's skin was so weak from being stretched that she would often also bleed because of standing up too quickly. She further added, "My stomach muscles completely split to the point where the doctors could barely distinguish them during the C-section and said they were the worst they'd ever seen." In addition, she also suffered from sciatica because of compression of nerves in her legs and hips. Amber is on a tough road to recovery and expects it to take a while. She still feels as uncomfortable as she felt when she was pregnant, but both parents are overjoyed with their gorgeous little girl as they lay side by side. It's hard to believe these new arrivals were born just a day apart. Not so little. Rayla J tipped the scales at PS12. 7 Oz, giving her mother, Rachel Lloyd, a shock when she welcomed her daughter into the world. Doctors at Walsall's Manor Hospital said Rayla J was one of the biggest babies they had seen in years. Ms. Lloyd took a photo of her daughter lying next to a much smaller baby born at the hospital or Lemoore, and it's clear to see the incredible size difference. Ms. Lloyd is now having to buy a whole new wardrobe for her daughter, as newborn clothes are too small. Really is already filling out size 3 to 6 month baby grows, so the piles of clothes her mother was given at a baby shower will be given away, and she has smashed the 7-pound, 8-ounce average weight of a newborn baby. She was born by cesarean section on Monday at 2:37 p.m. after Ms. Lloyd was induced on Saturday as she was 12 days overdue. Though Ms. Lloyd, who is a support worker from the Butts of Walsall, had been warned during scans that the baby would be big, she says she had no idea she'd be this big. She added when she was born she was screaming her head off, and when the midwives and doctors took her to the scales they were smiling, and then they told me how heavy she was. I can't believe I've been carrying that weight around with me all this time. I had no idea. She's doing really well now though, and we're really happy. Ms. Lloyd was expecting to be discharged from the hospital today after recovering from her operation. A mom has given birth to one of Britain's biggest babies who weighed the same as a bowling ball. Emma FEARON, 34, welcomed boy Atticus, who arrived on May 24 weighing a very respectable PS11 6 Oz at home during coronavirus lockdown. Incredibly, she required no stitches following the birth and only had gas and air as pain relief. The mom gave birth to Atticus in a birthing pool set up at her home in Thornton Lamore, Cheshire, and used hypnobirthing techniques to help her through the labor. If giving birth to one of the UK's biggest babies wasn't enough dramatic, the mom of 3 revealed the midwife only arrived within half an hour before Atticus made his appearance. FEARON revealed the birth went amazingly. I used hypnobirthing to calm and ground me, and the labor was only 2.5 hours long, start to finish. I birthed him in a pool with the midwife arriving with only a half hour to spare. I only had a couple of puffs of gas and air and got away with no stitches. It just goes to show what women's bodies are capable of, and a nice reassurance for those that are predicted to have big babies. Thankfully, the birth went without complications with the assistance of her husband James, 34, and 2 independent midwives. I'm really pleased that I got to give birth at home, as I would have had to go alone to the hospital if not with my husband staying at home with the girls. FEARON said I had planned to have a home birth from the start and was concerned when NHS Trust started to close down the home birth service, as I was so dead set on it. I researched unassisted birthing and then ended up hiring 2 independent midwives so that I could definitely have the birth that I wanted and felt this was the safest. The midwives were very supportive and weren't concerned about his size. They were very encouraging of my plans, although none of us thought he'd turn out quite so big. Atticus isn't the first big baby. The 3rd time mom has welcomed her firstborn Aria, whose 3 weighed 10 pounds. 8 Oz of birth, and her 2nd child, Amelia 2, was PS9. The baby Aria was born in the hospital after a long delivery that required force of assistance and resulted in a big tear and an episiotomy. Amelia was also born in a hospital, but without any issues. These previous birth experiences led FEARON to decide to have a home birth with a birthing pool for her 3rd baby. Little Atticus is now doing well at home, and FEARON is exclusively breastfeeding Atticus, while also still feeding his 27-month-old sister Amelia.